Hello, this is ASEAN Movie Pulse Interviews. I'm Panos Kotzathanasis, and today I'm here with Prithvi, if I pronounce your name wrong. Okay. He's the director of the 17 Years. It just premiered in Busan. How are you?
Hi, Panos. I'm very well, thank you. The film premiered in Busan just a while ago, a few days ago. So I'm still in Busan. There is one more screening today. I had great screenings and looking forward to more people, giving me some feedback.
So in general, how was the reception of the film? How did the audience react in Busan?
It was very good, actually. I mean, particularly the one thing that I have noticed about the Korean audience is that they watch the film very attentively. I mean, if you go to a cinema hall in India, you will see us. Even if I am an audience, I would be, moving around and laughing, and also we wouldn't sit straight and watch for 2 hours. But I have to respect Korean audience for that. They watch the film for 2 straight hours and then they sit for the question and answers also. And for that, they have my respect.
Okay. But can you tell me a bit what was the inspiration behind shooting a film about high school children?
Well, you see, these incidences of youngsters making videos and them getting online, they have been happening every now and then in India and possibly across the world. I had that thing has been in my mind. I wanted to explore, see what might be the outcome of such an event when something like that happens. What what are all the things that could possibly go result from this. So it has been in my mind for a while, actually. This script again, I think I started writing maybe 6 years ago. I mean, as an idea, I'm saying, but then it matured over a period of time, over a period of years, actually. First I had some ideas and then some more ideas, and then luckily I had my co-writer, who is Anupama Hegde. She is a high court lawyer in Bangalore. So when she is the ex-chairperson of the Child Welfare Committee. So when she came on board, I was able to get access to a lot of legal information, some of the legal intricacies that exist in our system, and then incorporate them into the script and then turn it into a good screenplay. So this has been the process, the inspiration and the process.
The issue with castes in India is one of the dominant in the film. What is the situation with that? Supposedly it has been abolished by the constitution in 1950, but as we see in the movie, it's still at large, right?
Yeah, it does. And you see, system is basically whatever is written on a piece of paper or legislature or wherever. As long as it is written, that's the system. Or as long as it is strictly practiced, that has been abolished. Yes, that doesn't exist anymore. But what exists is basically a caste dynamics between between various castes. You have to understand that castes are not necessarily just two sections, upper, lower. No, that's not how it works. You have, even among the so-called upper caste, there are upper, higher upper. There tend to be some kind of a hierarchy, and even among the lower caste there is hierarchy. So what happens is, in a system like in a country like India, with this with this construct still existing, the caste discrimination or caste bias would go in all different directions. It's not necessarily one unidirectional, although predominantly it is unidirectional, that anybody can see and understand. But it is, in earnest, it goes in all different directions. So that is that's the caste dynamics in India, and that's why I took even in the film, when I'm writing, it's not unidirectional. Whatever the caste bias or discrimination, it's not unidirectional. It goes in multiple different ways through one, if it is through the actions taken by the college, then the other is through the legal action taken by by the family of the girl. That is just, again, even I have explored just I have probably barely scratched the surface. If you go deeper into it, the dynamics gets more complex, and I don't think even somebody who can call himself an expert on these issues can actually put his fingers into these matters and say that, okay, this is what this is. So it's very murky and complex.
But what would happen if a case of discrimination gets to the court? It sort of happens in the movie. Let's just say that the lawyer in the film would actually take the school to court just for misjudging the Dalit girl. What would happen then? How would the court react?
Well, again, see, in Indian code, as far as my interaction goes with lawyers and other people who know the court system, it is always 50-50. It's always 50-50. Even if you are the complainant, or if you are the accused, and if you feel that the evidence is stacked against a certain A or B or C, it may not necessarily go against them. So it all depends on. It's hard to say. It's always 50-50. That's the ideal outcome we can talk about. But if there is clear evidence of discrimination and such a case has gone into the court, then first of all, I think it was non-bailable. Now it has been changed into bailable. Previously, if such a case was registered, then they would be arrested immediately. There is no bail, and they would stay in the court for a while until the case is heard. But now I think it is bailable, but I'm not sure. I mean, I can't say with surety. Even if it is bailable, if evidence is stacked against such a person, and if he has really done something like that, discrimination or abuse or anything like that, then action is taken. Action is taken by the court. But then again, it all depends on how the lawyers argue and other things. So that's why I said in the beginning it's 50-50. But if it is proven, then action is definitely taken. But then, of course, once it is decided at a particular level, you can always go appeal, and it will take several months and even years, for a case like this to be completely resolved.
And would you say in Indian society there is also discrimination against women?
Yeah, see, it's discrimination in the sense not like I mean, see, discrimination does exist. I'm not saying it doesn't. It obviously exists. But in a setup that I have shown, in an urban college setup, the discrimination is not so obvious. If you go to a rural setup, particularly where there is poverty, you will obviously find a lot of discrimination against women. No doubt about that. But in a setup like what I have taken in a college or in a university, the discrimination is not so obvious and not so ubiquitous. That's what I would say. So it depends. See, even with the caste, let me add this point. Even with the caste, suppose you ask somebody who works in a corporate world, in the private sector, I mean, I heard about caste system. What do you think about it? He will say, what caste system? I have never come across it. And he's right, because he works in a private sector. It's all meritocracy, and caste barely ever gets noticed or gets referred to. But if you ask someone who works in a very unorganized sector, let's say like even film industry for that matter, then he would say yes, it does exist. Or if you ask particularly someone who is into politics or who works in government sector, then he will talk a lot about caste, all sorts of nonsense that goes on. So it depends on who. That's why I said the overall picture is very murky. You can't really say that, okay, this is it, this is how it works. No, it's very murky.
So I was a bit not sure about the decision the school council makes in the beginning. Was it actually objective, or do all these factors play the role, like caste and the fact that the girl was female, one was female and one male, and one from the upper class, one from the lower class? Was that a factor in the decision?
Well, that is in this film, if you're asking about my story, yes, that is for the audience to decide. That this is why I don't make very strict, very clear cut. I don't give very clear picture, because I believe that the truth in the world is always murky. You may never know the truth. Ultimately, you can make some guesses, you can consider some points, but the ultimate truth, I don't think any of us will ever know, with regards to anything for that matter. That is why I always, for any decision, any choices that's made by the character, I add a bit of ambiguity. Was that made for this purpose, or was there any other reason behind it? That's for the audience to think. Even for me, if see, I could always give a certain color to a character, black or white, and say that okay, this is the decision that they're making. But the moment I do that, I will be doing injustice to reality, because in reality everything is ambiguous. So that's why that's the way I design these scenes and these characters.
But at the same time, I feel that the two main professors, the principal and the vice principal, they are portrayed kind of villains, let's say. I mean, the principal appears to be very weak, because when he finds the situation very tough, he pretends that he's sick or something. And then the vice principal is portrayed as opportunistic and overly ambitious. He takes his position almost immediately. So is that something you wanted to say? Is there some sort of accusation towards professors, teachers, let's say?
That's true. What the observations that you have made are correct about the principal and the vice principal. But then again, when it comes to the decision that they take about the boy and the girl, we really don't know what their motivations were. Because the vice principal says that in the beginning, during the argument, she says that she was the one who fought for the fee waiver for the girl when the management didn't agree for that. But then again, she takes the decision to expel only the girl, considering the previous, her previous behavior. But then when the previous behavior itself is questioned, we don't know whether that really happened or not, whether that in itself can be judged like the vice principal did or not, we don't know. That's why I want to create these situations where you can't really pinpoint and say that, okay, she is wrong, he is wrong. I don't want, you could question them. You could say that, okay, why did you do that? Why did this character do this? Why did that character make this choice? But then I don't want an audience to have a simple answer. And even I don't want myself to have a simple answer. That's why I create these, very ambiguous, doubtful, circumstances.
But essentially, would you say that the problem is the overall system? Because what I got from the movie is it's very difficult to navigate in this whole setting, no matter what your position is.
Exactly. That's, see, when you can say that, something like this exists in pretty much every society. Okay, in India, it may be caste system. If you go to USA, it may be the race. Also, it may be, things related to gun laws. But it's very difficult to navigate in a complex system and then say that, okay, this is where the fault is, this is where it's correct. At least when it comes to people. So you're right. Actually, that's the whole idea of this kind of storytelling.
And do you think that love has a place inside this whole thing, or it just suffocates? Because that's also what I felt about the relationship of the boy and the girl.
No, you are right. You're right about that. But then this is a story that is my creation. In reality, of course, it's not as simple as this. In reality, everything happens. So these are the choices that my characters are making. And with these choices that they're making, these are the circumstances that are resulting in. And with those results, this is where the love is. So this is the whole picture. But and then again, if you think about it, if you start questioning love, what is love, and particularly what the teenagers would go through, you can actually question that in itself, and you may not find an answer. So that's why I try to keep everything, very ambiguous.
Let's just say that the movie would continue. There was a sequel. What would happen to the two kids, you think?
Oh, honestly speaking, I have so much of content that I can actually turn it into a web series. I could bring in a lot of factors. For example, I have not really given any motivations to the students who rebel in the end. The motivation that appears to be is that to protest against the injustice, what they perceive has happened to the girl. But that may not be the motivation for those kids also. For those students, it may be something else. It may be that they also come from a certain level of poverty, and they themselves are jealous of what Hari and Deepa had and they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So you can expand it into a web series. Again, see, again, by the way, this here we have to understand that only the court cases are beginning. Even as Deepa's court case continues, the other court cases are not dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
They still are there. The atrocity case is going to continue, and the cases against the college, administration is going to continue. So if there is going to be a sequel, then I think it's going to be juggling between these cases with more plot points and bringing together, all these ideas and exploring more ideas, of the society, and then so that would be the direction I would take in a sequel.
Mm-hmm. So in general, the students that attend the school in the movie, are they mostly rich or upper class, or I wasn't sure, is it mixed?
Okay, see, it depends on the kind of college you're talking about. See, when I say college, it's basically school, meaning in India, it's called pre-university college, and elsewhere it's called high school, or, I think it's called high school, plus basically 11th class, 11 and 12. So it depends on which college you are talking about. There are some very expensive college where you will only probably find rich or upper middle class kids. And of course, if you go to the government colleges, you are likely to find students from mostly poor background or very lower middle class background. But in a college like this, you are likely to have a mixture of both. Slightly middle class, slightly lower middle class, slightly upper middle class, and maybe some from here and there for whatever reason. Maybe for convenience, rich kids are sending their schools, and because of some fee waiver or whatever, some poor kids are also going to the school. So that's how it works. So it's difficult to say what kind of a school, what kind of students go to a particular kind of school, unless you know the background of the school in itself. But the setup that I have used in the film is somewhere in the middle.
Okay. And can you tell us a bit about the casting?
Oh yeah. It was during the pandemic actually that we started doing online auditions, and it was during the lockdown. So the people started sending videos, and that is how we cast most of the actors. For example, Deepa was cast through auditions. She is a first timer. Hari, we cast through audition. He is also a first timer. The principal is a first timer. This is his first acting role. Who else? And the boy who rebels in the end, he actually has acted in my previous films. He has acted in my previous film, Pinky Ellie, as well as Railway Children. And the physical trainer also has acted in my previous film. The police inspector, it's his first acting role. Again, he also auditioned and then he got the role. The lady who does the vice principal, apparently she has acted in other films, like 1 or 2 films, not many. But I didn't know that. To me, she was kind of a newcomer only, and she has done an excellent job, as you can see there. And others, some of them have done a few small role here and there. The lawyer, the activist lawyer, she is a well-known actress, actually established actress in Kannada. Who else? Another, the parents of Hari, they are again very well-known actors in Kannada, established actors. The lawyer who voiced for Hari is also a very well-known actor. He has been acting in television and cinema in Kannada for a long time. The lady who plays the judge, she is my co-writer. This is her second acting role. First was again in my previous film, where she has been an advisor to the script. So this is how the casting is. It's a combination of newcomers and actors with some experience and actors with a lot of experience.
And Deepa's mother and sisters?
Deepa's mother, by the way, has acted. This is her second acting role. She has acted in a major supporting role in my previous film, Very Spinky. And Deepa's sister, her sister, she has acted in a few films, but she comes from theater background. She does stage plays. Okay, so the main protagonists were essentially inexperienced. Was it difficult for you, or something you prefer to do? No, something that I prefer. I prefer that simply because they don't come with any baggage, and they don't act for the camera. They just act.
Mhm.
They just go with the acting. They don't change their position to look better in the camera. They don't prefer makeup, or they just act. They just give their best natural performance.
Mhm, mhm. And are you strict when you're shooting with your actors, or do you allow improvisation?
I allow a lot of improvisations. In fact, I ask them to do improvisation. I tell them that, okay, this is the idea, but whatever you want to add, you do that. If you want to take out something, you are welcome to do that. If you feel that a dialogue is not working, you don't say it. If you feel that you can just emote something without saying a dialogue, do that. So I give them a lot of space. I don't restrict them.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. And can you tell me a bit about the cinematography, what you wanted to do in the visual aspect of the film?
So visual aspect, I wanted to continue with what I had done in my previous films. That is kind of documentary shoot, completely handheld. And although in this film, location wise, at least we didn't have a lot of variety, because most of the story was set in the college.
Mhm,
Because in my previous films, even with the same cinematographer, what I have done is go right in the middle of the streets, take the actors there, put them there. So basically take art into life. That's what I had done. But in this film, I didn't have that much of a choice, because 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 of the pandemic, people were wearing masks, and I couldn't shoot anywhere I wanted. Issue was there. But yeah, the one thing that I myself and the cinematographer focused was that to capture the emotions. That was primary. Not go for too many wide shots, not go for too many close shots, but somewhere in the middle, and capture the emotions of the actors, and go for handheld, slightly shaky camera work.
mhm, mhm. Okay, okay. And what about the location? Where is the college?
Well, the college is actually in this very heart of Bengaluru city.
Mhm,
It's a private college. It's again a pre-university college, but that's not the real name of the college. Of course,
mhm, mhm.
we have fictionalized, given a fictional name to the college, and shot it there.
Was it difficult shooting there, logistics-wise?
Yes, it was actually difficult for a couple of reasons. One, you see, when you're shooting in the street, you have kind of a freedom. You can just go ahead and shoot, but you don't have that when you're shooting in a place like college, where okay, you're shooting somewhere in the second, third floor, but in the ground floor there is the college staff, teachers, principal, sitting there. So that was there. And also the COVID threat was always looming large, because
Mhm,
if anybody got COVID during the shoot, then we had to shut down the shoot for a while. And this is a small budgeted independent film. We can't afford to shut the shooting for 10-15 days. It just doesn't work for us. So considering all this, it was actually, it was not a very calm and happy shooting, I can say that.
mhm, mhm. Okay, okay. And what can you tell me about the movie industry, the Kannada movie industry? What is the
Well,
situation? Hmm.
right. See, Kannada movie industry was very good once upon a time during the 70s and 80s.
Mhm,
But during the 90s and early 2000s, it suffered in quality for a number of reasons. But then again, in the last 6-7 years, it has been, churning out really good cinema, both commercial and parallel cinema. It has, like, maybe it's now everybody is looking up to Kannada cinema in India, actually, even for remakes, for quality content. People are looking at Kannada cinema. So that is a good development that has happened in the last, I would say, 5 to 8 years.
mhm, mhm. And do local people go to the cinema to watch local movies? Or
They do, but provided you have a big star in the film, and also the film is slightly big budgeted.
Mhm,
Uh, if those ingredients exist, then yes, people do go and watch the film in cinema halls.
mhm, mhm. Okay, okay. And are there any plans for the film to screen there, your film?
As of now, we don't have any theatrical release plan, but we are looking at OTT and other options. But we will see. I mean, you never know. The problem is, my previous film, Very Spinky, has not been released in cinemas, and we're waiting for that. So
Mhm,
if that gets released, and if we get a good response, maybe we could attempt at releasing this also in cinemas.
mhm,
But as
mhm,
of now, the plan is to go for OTT and television.
mhm, mhm. And are there any issues with censorship in that particular industry? Or
Well, there is, you see, censorship has existed in India for a long time. So even this film, even when I wrote and made this film, it was with, I mean, the censorship was always in consideration. For example, even when in the opening scenes, when the two teenagers get intimate, we don't show anything. So because we don't want those scenes to be cut later on, when you're showing the film to the censor board. So censorship issue exists. It is not a good thing, but I do understand that you need censorship in a country like India for a few reasons, because even some issues are very sensitive to Indian people, particularly religion and things like that. So I would understand if those things are cut out, particularly if you have said something abusive or criticizing of one particular group of people, community, caste, or religion. It's not a good thing to do, and I would understand the censorship there. But otherwise, censorship is unnecessary, but it exists and we have to live with it.
Okay. And the last question, I guess, are there any plans of your future? Are you writing anything new?
Well, actually, my next project is in the APM Asian project market right now in Busan. It's called Rashid. It's in very early development stage. Again, it deals with some of the very sensitive issues of Indian society, very sensitive, a lot more than 17ers. So it will take a while for me to develop the film with proper co-production and get the funding and make the film.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Panos, for writing about the film. And I'm hoping that more and more people will read what you have written and will probably want to watch the film. So I'm glad at least you were able to connect with the film. So thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So this was ASEAN Movie Pulse interviews from Panos Kotzathanasis. Have a nice day. Bye.